Good afternoon. I consider it an great privilege to introduce the speaker for today's talk, Dr. Bhuvan Jha. Dr. Jha is a faculty at the Department of History, Satyavati College, University of Delhi. Concurrently, he is a fellow at the Developing Countries Research Center of the university. A PhD in Modern Indian History from the University of Delhi, he was awarded the Nehru Memorial Museum and Library Fellowship during 2018 to 20. Dr. Jha's areas of interest and specialization include growth of the Hindu Mahasabha, Arya Samaj and other fraternal organizations, socio-religious reform movements, Shuddhi and Sangathan movements, development of ideas linked to the formation of Hindu identity during the modern period, formation and growth of the responsive cooperation party, formation and interlinkages of various political groups during the pre-independence period. Apart from research papers in reputed journals, he has recently authored a book commissioned by the CRPF on its history titled Nation First. In addition, he has co-authored two books, Hindu Nationalism in India, Ideology and Politics, and CISF, Force of the Future. Now, I request Nirmal sir to chair the session. Thank you.
Thank you, Abhilash. Our history of Indian national struggle is a contested space, and in that story, like there are leaders of the Indian National Congress who are written less about, no. So our speaker of the day, Dr. Bhuvan Jha, will deliver on Madan Mohan Malviya and his contribution in the Indian national struggle. So I welcome sir to deliver his talk. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Nirmal Kumar, Dr. Yogendra Daima, Professor Sharmila Srivastava, Dr. Justin, Abhilash, who made a generous introduction, many prominent colleagues from the colleges of the university, from some other university too, and dear students. When we get into the history of the nationalist movement, especially at a time when we are celebrating 75 years of India's independence, it is high time that we make a balanced analysis of the contributions and role of individuals who had an unflinching commitment towards the growth of India as a nation, towards the growth of Hindu-Muslim unity, towards the growth of Swaraj, towards the growth of a lifestyle where Swadeshi was an indispensable part, towards the emergence of a strong anti-colonialist mindset, towards a decolonized behavior. I did my work on, during my PhD, I was working on Hindu Mahasabha, and subsequently, very recently, during 2018 and 20, I got an opportunity to work on Pandit Madan Mohan Malviya as a fellow at Nehru Memorial. And having gone through several private papers and newspapers and correspondences and institutional documents, it comes out quite well that Madan Mohan Malviya had played an extremely important role in most dimensions of our nationalist life. He was the leader of the Congress party from 1886 until he passed away in 1946, almost 60 years. On 4 occasions, he also presided as the president of the Congress. In 1909, as a very young leader, he became the president of the Congress for the first time. Then in 1918, when the First World War had drawn to a close, and it was a very important moment in nation's history, he was again called upon to preside over the Congress sessions. In 1932-1933, the 2 banned sessions of the Congress, he presided. Of course, he could not reach the venue, but he did prepare his presidential speeches. He was the president of the All India Hindu Sabha, which became Hindu Mahasabha in 1921. In 1922, 1923, 1935, he was the founder of Sanatan Dharma Mahasabha in 1906. He was also an important member of the Bharat Dharma Mahamandal, a Sanatanist organization which was founded by Deen Dayalu Sharma from Jhajjar in Haryana, and of which Darbhanga Maharaj was the leading patron. And together, Darbhanga Maharaj, Madan Mohan Malviya and Deen Dayalu Sharma pushed the Sanatanist movement forward. So this was a different kind of era that Malviya lived in. He was also involved with the founding and nurturing of many prominent newspapers. Abhyuday, that was published from Allahabad, became an important daily, first weekly and then a daily in Hindi. Leader, that was published from Allahabad again in 1918, in 1909 onwards, and became an important newspaper of nationalist opinion. Hindustan Times, he helped found the Hindustan Times. So there were many newspapers with which he was personally associated. He had a long journalist career also. He had a strong legal mind too. So together, it was a multifaceted personality and something which was representative of the multicolors of our own nationalist movement. But where Malviya differed from other leaders of the Congress or Hindu Mahasabha, he was personally a very devout Hindu, a great scholar of Sanskrit. His father, Pandit Brajanath Malviya, was a Vyas, a reciter of Bhagavats. And from there he inherited this strong liking for Sanskrit and Shastric scriptures. And from his guru in Muir Central College in Allahabad, Pandit Aditya Ramji Bhattacharya, who also introduced him to the domain of social work, social movement. And his own attraction towards India's past, towards Hindu essence, but without giving any weightage to the superstitious beliefs. And he makes this point time and again. यदि धर्म को जीवित रखना है तो इसमें सुपरस्टिशंस का, अंधविश्वास का कोई जगह नहीं होना चाहिए. And he also made it very clear कि यदि हमें आगे बढ़ना है, यदि हिंदू समुदाय को आगे बढ़ना है, यदि धर्म को जीवित रखना है, तो हमें इन विचारों से आगे बढ़ना पड़ेगा. यदि कहीं पर महिलाओं के खिलाफ कुछ अत्याचार हो रहा है या उनको बराबरी नहीं मिल रही है या कहीं समस्या आ रही है समुदाय में जहां पर कि कुछ लोगों को मंदिर जाने से मना किया जा रहा है या छुआछूत की प्रथा आ गई है, तो उससे हम कैसे बाहर निकले. एंड ही शोड दैट दीज वेर नॉट इसेंशियल फीचर्स ऑफ हिंदू रिलीजन, which he very fondly called Sanatan religion. And in this, he charted a very middle course. When he joined Madhya Hindu Samaj in 1884 in Allahabad, which was founded by his guru Pandit Aditya Ramji Bhattacharya, it was very clear that this Samaj wanted to chart a middle course from the extremes of Brahmo Samajists or Arya Samajists or Pratna Samaj. It did not try to affiliate itself to one set of Hindu scriptures, but rather to all sets of Hindu scriptures with certain qualifications, of course. And Malviya made it very clear time and again कि कोई जो परंपरा विकसित हुई है, कोई जो पास्ट से आ रहा है, वह शाश्वत नहीं है, उसमें बदलाव की गुंजाइश है, लेकिन हमें धर्म को धारण करना पड़ेगा. धर्मो रक्षति रक्षिता, यदि हम धर्म की रक्षा करेंगे तभी धर्म हमारी रक्षा करेगा. तो इस प्रकार से मालवीय अपने जीवन में आगे बढ़ रहे थे और इन बिंदुओं को हमें ध्यान रखना है. वेयर वी कैन प्लेस मालवीय, वेयर कैन वी प्लेस मालवीय in the bigger picture of the Indian nationalist movement. He was a moderate. He joined Congress in 1886. That was the second session of the Congress. And he went to the dais to speak in favor of a resolution on self-government proposed by Surendranath Banerjee. And he went on to speak for several minutes, drawing from the British sense of justice and how that British sense of justice had been inverted in India. And this was a typical conventional moderate line promoted by Gokhale or A.O. Hume, Dadabhai Nauroji, Surendranath Banerjee. This was a conventional moderate line that we should have more and more of self-government in India, and whatever we see in the domain of repression in India is very un-British. So they wanted to appeal to the British sense of justice, wanted to introduce phases of democracy, wanted to introduce spirit of democracy in certain phases. He also favored Indianization of armed forces, civil services, and he spoke at length from the Congress platform. It was also in 1886 that his leadership was taken note of. He was just 25 years old at that time, by people like A.O. Hume and Surendranath Banerjee. There was one princely state near Allahabad called Kalakankar, and its prince Raja was there, Raja Rampal, and he invited Malviya to edit his journal, his magazine called Hindustan. And very soon Malviya left his teaching job in a high school as an English teacher, came to this journal, started editing it, and then he came in touch with several prominent novelists, essayists, writers, poets, playwrights of Hindi literature. यहाँ से एक हिंदी अस्मिता को देखने की भी शुरुआत हो रही है. काशी नागरी प्रचारणी सभा बनती है भारतेंदु हरिश्चंद्र की 1893 में, उसमें मालवीय बहुत महत्वपूर्ण भूमिका निभाते हैं. He also founds his own society called Hindi Udharani Sabha, and after the Allahabad session of the Congress in 1888, Malviya with some of his close associates start the founding of a big library in Allahabad called Bharat Bhavan Library. और हिंदी के प्रचार के लिए, हिंदी के उत्थान के लिए जब भारत धर्म महामंडल बना, वहां पर भी यह महत्वपूर्ण बात थी कि हिंदी और संस्कृत का हमें प्रचार करना है, to develop Hindi as a nationalist language. And in 1898, he saw this point. He had been aware of this fact that the Urdu that was being used as a compulsory language in the courts of the United Provinces, it was called Northwestern Provinces and Awadh at that time, carried many words of Persian and Arabic which was not comprehensible even to the people who knew Urdu. And besides, he made this point to be known to the government कि जिस प्रांत में आपने उर्दू को कंपलसरी कोर्ट लैंग्वेज बनाया है, उसमें उर्दू मेजॉरिटी का लैंग्वेज नहीं है. Therefore, Hindi in Devanagari should be given parity as the court language in the Northwest Provinces and Awadh. And in 1898, he sat down to prepare a long memorandum on court character, and he almost spent 1 to 2 years of his life almost abandoning his court practice. A 65-page document with a large number of annexes was presented to the Lieutenant Governor of the province, and subsequently Hindi in Devanagari was given parity in the court language. Of course, there were some votaries of Urdu who thought that it was a communal step, but Malviya was not speaking against any particular language. He was speaking in favor of Hindi and Devanagari to give it a parity as the court language in the United Provinces. And that also brought him a huge publicity in the Hindi heartland, and his legal practice had been soaring. It was towards the end of 19th century that he was elected to the Allahabad municipality. And it was around this time that plague spread, of course in some other regions of the country also, but it also spread in Allahabad. And the officials of that time take note of the fact that Malviya, without being worried about his own well-being, was going into these plague affected areas to see how the impact could be lessened. And then in the UP Legislative Council, to which he was elected in 1902 and which he continued to serve till 1910, he made proposals for model bastis in the overcrowded towns of Uttar Pradesh, United Provinces. So he was devoted to the welfare of people to the common good. And he made this point from the Congress sessions also, and as a legislature in the United Provinces. And in 1910, he got elected to the Central Legislative Council, which was called Imperial Legislative Council at that time, and which after 1919 came to be called as Central Legislative Assembly. So from 1910 to 1930, for 2 decades, barring 1 or 2 years of the non-cooperation movement, he was continuously a member of the Central Legislature, where every important legislature, every important law that was made during that period, has the imprint of Malviya, either in supporting that law or in opposing that law. But he speaks on every important occasion, whether it is of legislative business, whether it is of the Rowlatt Act, whether it is indentured bill. So he has a very prominent space in the legislative. This part of his career, his life in the legislatures, first in the United Provinces and subsequently in the Central Legislature, has been vastly ignored in our nationalist history narratives. I wish to bring this point out, bring out this point well. जिस प्रकार से मालवीय महत्वपूर्ण मुद्दों पर बोलते हैं, time and again he is speaking on the finance bills, time and again he is speaking on differential tariffs on Indian goods, time and again he is speaking in favor of individual liberty, he is speaking against restrictions imposed on the press, and all these interventions are well documented. ऐसा नहीं है कि वो विलुप्त हो गए. They are well documented, they are part of our archives, but have been ignored, and we will come to that, why he has been ignored. And as Professor Sharmila Srivastava rightly pointed out, that in some book that she had been reading, Malviya hardly finds any mention. तो जिस प्रकार से विधायिका का विस्तार हो रहा है, विधायिका में भारतीयों का प्रतिनिधित्व बढ़ रहा है, उसी हिसाब से मदन मोहन मालवीय जी का भी वहां पर इंटरवेंशंस बढ़ रहा है. यह बहुत मार्के की बात है कि हिंदुस्तान के वेलफेयर में जो बातें हैं, वहां विधायिका के माध्यम से इसको उठाने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं. दिस इज वन इंपॉर्टेंट एस्पेक्ट वेयर मालवीय एक्सेल्स लाइक नोबडी. In 1916, March 1916, he had supported Gokhale's elementary education bill, but Gokhale passed away, and he referred to Gokhale's bill time and again कि हमें बुनियादी शिक्षा को अनिवार्य करना चाहिए. And he also gives the analogy of vaccine कि यदि बीमारी है शरीर में तो सरकार वैक्सीन को कंपलसरी करती है कि नहीं. उसी प्रकार से जो बुनियादी शिक्षा है, जो एलिमेंट्री एजुकेशन है, जो प्राथमिक शिक्षा है, उसको हमें टीकेकरण की तरह लेने चाहिए. इट शुड बी मेड कंपलसरी फॉर एवरीबडी. शिक्षा के विस्तार के लिए बार बार लड़ रहे हैं, बार बार झगड़ा कर रहे हैं. इन 1916 मार्च, आफ्टर द फाउंडिंग ऑफ द हिंदू यूनिवर्सिटी एट बनारस इन February 1916, he moves a resolution in the Imperial Legislative Council for abolition of indentured labor that had inflicted insurmountable miseries on the Indians for the preceding 80 years. And it is a very long speech. And he talks of the blasted lives of the victims. He talks of his own experience of having gone to those depots where these coolies were recruited, where this indentured labor were being recruited. And it was because of his intervention, and Gandhi also comes out openly in his support, that subsequently the indentured labor, this Kanun, this law gets abolished, this system gets abolished. But if you look at the history of indentured labor in India, Malviya hardly finds any mention. Then in 1919, talking on the Rowlatt bills in the Imperial Legislative Council, he First, he brings out some legal technical point that these legislative pieces have not been circulated well in advance, just to see that it is delayed. And then when still it is introduced, he makes a very long speech and tells the viceroy कि जो वायलेंस की एक गतिविधियां हैं, जो खून खराबा है इस देश में, जो हिंदुस्तानी कर रहे हो या कोई कर रहे हो, उससे कांग्रेस को बहुत विरोध है, गांधी को विरोध है, मालवीय खुद विरोध कर रहे हैं इस बात का. बट इवन देन वी डू नॉट सपोर्ट द लॉज अगेंस्ट सेडिशन दैट यू आर ब्रिंगिंग. आप जो कानून ला रहे हैं, द ब्लैक लॉज, दिस विल नॉट बी टॉलरेटेड एंड दिस विल नॉट बी acceptable to the Indians. And in 1918 December, he had pointed out when the Montagu reforms had come कि reforms तो आप ले आए, लेकिन इसमें बहुत कमियां रह गई. And he referred to how Indians had participated in the World War, given full support to the imperial government, to the British government in its war efforts, and yet the British government had introduced only half measured reforms through the Montfort reforms. And in this particular discourse, he was not on the same page as his moderate friends like Surendranath Banerjee or C.Y. Chintamani. He knew that the editor of the Leader, C.Y. Chintamani, the newspaper that Malviya had founded, would be unhappy with the stand taken by Malviya, but he made it very clear that these reforms are fine, but we wanted more. And they have not come. Unless those amendments come in the British Parliament, I will, or the Congress will not support the Montfort reforms. And he stuck to this position, in spite of, at the risk of annoying his moderate friends, he stuck to his guard. And then during the Rowlatt Bills debate in the Parliament, in the Central Legislature, he again brings this point. कि एक तरफ तो हम सोच रहे थे कि हमें स्वराज मिलेगा, हमें हमारी विधायिकाओं का बहुत ज्यादा विस्तार होगा, हिंदुस्तानियों को खुद पर शासन करने का अधिकार मिलेगा, और दूसरी तरफ आप एक ऐसा कानून बना रहे हैं. एक तरफ तो हमने आपको समर्थन दिया प्रथम विश्व युद्ध में, और यह सोच करके कि हम जो समर्थन देंगे इसके बदले हमें कुछ अच्छा मिलेगा, उसके विपरीत यह मिल रहा. And in protest, along with other nationalist leaders, he resigns his seat in the Imperial Legislative Council, and then gives wholehearted support to the anti-Rowlatt Satyagraha started by Gandhi. In this particular dynamics, he differed from his erstwhile moderate colleagues. He was able to adjust his constitutionalism with the Satyagraha scheme of Gandhi. This is very important, because many moderates of yesteryears opposed Gandhi's Satyagraha. But Malviya was very attracted towards Gandhi ever since Gandhi was in South Africa, and Gandhi himself was very attracted towards Malviya. I will read a quote from Gandhi. The name of Malviya ji is magical for the people. Since I arrived in India, जब से मैं हिंदुस्तान में आया हूं, I have had an intimate contact with him. His views for the society are full of compassion and love. We love each other more than real brothers. सहोदर से ज्यादा हम एक दूसरे को पसंद करते हैं. I do not consider anyone a greater patriot than Malviya ji. I always worship him. I do not see anyone amongst the present Indians who serves the country better than him. These are the glowing tributes to Malviya from Gandhi, with whom Malviya shared a very good, very happy relationship. Of course, on some occasions, that relationship, and there are strong disagreements also. So the relationship also takes a little bit of hitting, but they still continue to respect each other. We will talk about it. So the Rowlatt Bill, the role played by Malviya in opposing the Rowlatt Bills and then leading the Congress movement against the Jallianwala Bagh massacre, and then again against the Punjab wrongs, starting the setting up the Punjab Inquiry Committee, Punjab Subcommittee of the Congress, visiting Amritsar in June 1919 along with Motilal Nehru and Shraddhanand, sending his nephew Kapil Dev Malviya to Amritsar to collect documents, visiting that particular park where this gruesome tragedy had taken place, interacting with people, the relatives of the victims, starting a fund to help the victims, meeting lawyers to file the counter affidavits. The entire contribution of Malviya in leading the anti-Jallianwala Bagh protest hardly finds any mention. It gets very diluted, except for one or two places. हम नाम देख लेते हैं कि हाँ मालवीय जी कांग्रेस अध्यक्ष थे तो उन्होंने अध्यक्षता की. In September 1919, he comes back to the Imperial Legislative Council, and on 3rd September 1919, he gives a list of 60 questions to the imperial government. जैसे अभी होता है पार्लियामेंट में आप सवाल पूछ सकते हैं, उस समय में भी था. 60 questions to the imperial government on the Jallianwala Bagh and the following tragedies in the Punjab, the martial law regime, and very probing questions. If you look at those questions, you will know how strong a legal mind he had. कि किस जगह पर कितने आदमी इकट्ठा हो गए, यह जो आपने चार्जशीट लगाया है, बनाया है, या यह जो आपने एफआईआर किया है, उसका क्या रिजल्ट आया, कौन से हथियार बरामद हुए, जो लोग मारे गए, जो जख्मी हुए, उसको कब कितने देर के बाद निकाला गया जलियांवाला बाग से. तमाम तरह के प्रश्न जो कि अभी भी हमारे दिमाग में नहीं आते हैं, वह तमाम तरह के प्रश्न वह पूछ रहे हैं सेंट्रल लेजिस्लेटिव काउंसिल, इंपीरियल लेजिस्लेटिव काउंसिल्स. And then on 10th September, the Viceroy announces the appointment of a commission of inquiry. Of course, its names are names of Hunter and his associates are announced there. To inquire, commission of inquiry, to inquire or investigate into Jallianwala Bagh incident and the excesses of the martial law regime. And very soon, on 18th September, government comes with an indemnity bill. एक तरफ तो आपने एक कमीशन ऑफ इंक्वायरी बैठा दिया, जांच आयोग बैठा दिया, दूसरे तरफ एक बिल लेकर के आ रहे हैं कि जितने भी अफसर इस पूरे कांड में मौजूद हैं उसको हम इंडेमनीफाई कर दें, उसके एक्सेसेस को, उनकी ज्यादती को हम पहले ही कानूनी रूप से माफ कर दें कि ये मार्शल लॉ रेजिम में हुआ था, इसलिए इन्होंने यदि कुछ सख्ती की है तो उस पर हम कोई मुकदमा नहीं चला सकते हैं. Malviya was furious on this bill, and in one of the longest speeches in the legislative history of this country, he spoke for 4.5 hours on the indemnity bill, and giving scores and scores of evidences, sometimes making it very emotional also, and telling to the government कि आप उन लोगों को याद कीजिए जिनके रिलेटिव मर गए, जिनके घर में कोई नहीं बचा है, जो सिर्फ एक पैर या एक हाथ लेकर के जी रहे हैं. I will read out a part of that speech which he delivered on 18th September 1919. I make this appeal in the name of those who have lost their lives, in the name of those who lost their limbs in these recent disturbances, in the name of those who have suffered indescribable indignities, in the name of those who are undergoing imprisonment at this moment unjustly in His Majesty's jails, in the name of those women who are in mourning by the loss of their husbands, their relations or sons, in the name of all those, my Lord, I appeal to your excellencies government to stay the hand of government and to wait for the committee of inquiry and then to decide what should be done. जो आपने जांच आयोग बैठाया है इसकी अनुशंसा को आने का इंतजार कीजिए, इसके रिपोर्ट के आने का इंतजार कीजिए, फिर सोचिए कि और कोई बिल लाया जा सकता है कि नहीं। बट टू ब्रिंग इंडेमनिटी बिल एट दिस टाइम, you are trying to absolve those officials of their irresponsible acts, और जिसके जवाब में, जिसके कारण हजारों औरतें विधवा हुई हैं, परिवार नष्ट हुए हैं, और पंजाब की सड़कों पर, लाहौर अमृतसर के सड़कों पर लोगों को अपमानित होना पड़ा। दिस वॉज मदन मोहन मालवीय, staunch anti-imperialist, staunch defender of individual liberty, staunch defender of non-violence, staunch defender of satyagrah, staunch defender of Hindu-Muslim unity, staunch defender of removal of untouchability. This was Madan Mohan Malviya. And then in 1920, Calcutta session, September 1920, Gandhiji brings his non-cooperation resolution, which includes the boycott of councils, boycott of courts, and most importantly, boycott of educational institutions. Malviya is comfortable with the boycott of councils and courts, but he is very much opposed to the boycott of educational institutions. He does not want students to leave their educational institutions. And now he is not on the same page with Gandhi. Malviya writes in the newspapers, Gandhi also writes in the newspapers. Gandhi writes कि आप यदि हमारे साथ एक वर्ष तक रहेंगे, इस असहयोग आंदोलन का को ठीक मायने में यदि ऑब्जर्व करेंगे तो स्वराज मिल जाएगा. Malviya says, I am not convinced. And he says, if students leave these educational institutions, what is the alternative? यदि आप अभी विकल्प तैयार भी करेंगे, राष्ट्रवादी विकल्प, तो उसको बनते टाइम लगेगा. And Gandhi is saying, boycott educational institutions partially or fully funded by the government. Hindu University also gets some endowment grants from the government, not the full grants. The basic corpus of the Hindu University's grants comes from princely donations and the donations of common people, which had been solicited very strongly, very rigorously by Malviya from 1911 to 1916. और जिसके फाउंडिंग सेरेमनी में इन द फर्स्ट वीक ऑफ फरवरी 1916, जिसके फाउंडिंग सेरेमनी में मालवीय ने सिर्फ 2 नेशनलिस्ट लीडर्स को बुलाया, महात्मा गांधी और एनी बेसेंट, because large number of officials were also present along with Viceroy, and where for the first time, having come back to India, Gandhi made his anti-colonial position very unambiguous and spoke from the dais against the policies of the British and against the lack of trust which the Viceroy had generated in his mind against the Indians. And he also spoke against the princess. Of course, that was not the right occasion, and the things became very, very controversial. The princess boycotted that particular session. But look at Malviya. He comes to the dais and speaks in defense of Mahatma Gandhi. And when the officials want to lodge a case against Gandhi, he defends Gandhi's position and said that it was not the Gandhi's intention to humiliate anybody. And that can't be Gandhi at all. गांधी और मालवीय के संबंध बहुत अंतरंग हैं. So when Gandhi opposes the boycott of the educational institutions, and even when Gandhi writes against Malviya's position on this particular account, both come together at the Hindu University campus. Malviya invites Gandhi in November 1920 to come to the Hindu University campus and speak to his students. गांधी जी कहते हैं वहां के विद्यार्थियों से, मौलाना आजाद भी हैं, कस्तूरबा गांधी भी हैं, बहुत सारे लोग हैं. गांधी कहते हैं वहां के विद्यार्थियों से कि आपको यदि कोई दुविधा हो तो आप मालवीय जी से पूछ करके काम कीजिए। और मालवीय जी कहते हैं विद्यार्थियों से, मैं तो चाहता हूं कि आप शिक्षण संस्थान में बने रहें, लेकिन फिर भी यदि किसी को बहुत इच्छा हो रही है, वो अपने मन को नहीं रोक पा रहा है असहयोग आंदोलन में जुड़ने से, तो उसको मेरी तरफ से पूरी आजादी है, इस संस्था को छोड़ करके वह असहयोग आंदोलन में शामिल हो सकता है, एजुकेशन इंस्टीट्यूशन को बैकवर्ड, लेकिन हिंदू यूनिवर्सिटी बंद नहीं होगा। एंड ही स्टक टू हिज गन। When some leaders of the movement were imprisoned in 1921, he tried to have some rapprochement between the Congress and the imperial government ताकि कुछ बीच का रास्ता निकले, but of course he was not successful and then the चौरी चौरा happened। और चौरी चौरा के बाद आपको याद है किस तरह से स्थितियां परिस्थितियां, but Malviya, who is a votary of non-violence along with Gandhi, comes out in defense of the Chauri Chaura accused, and after a decade of having stopped his practice at Allahabad Bar, he wears an advocate's dress again in 1923, argues in Allahabad High Court against the death sentence given to 150 Chauri Chaura accused, against a large number of Chauri Chaura accused, and gets the death sentence reversed in at least 150 cases. Those arguments of Madan Mohan Malviya in Allahabad High Court are extremely important. And then when Bhagat Singh, Rajguru and Sukhdev are sentenced to death, he appeals to the Viceroy, he appeals to the imperial government to commute their death sentence, and says कि इनका जो काम करने का तरीका है मैं उससे सहमत नहीं हूं, बट ये कोई गलत इरादे से नहीं कर रहे हैं, they are selfless patriots, and ask the Viceroy to see how selflessly Bhagat Singh, Rajguru and Sukhdev had fought. And when at the Karachi session on 31st March 1931, just after the execution of these three revolutionaries, there was some discussion on these three heroes. He also adds to the resolution talking about the selfless services of these individuals, the patriotic spirit which had moved these individuals to commit this act. So Malviya was flexible in this sense. Though his creed is of non-violence and satyagrah, यदि कोई उससे डाइग्रेस करता है और पैट्रियोटिक इंटेंट के साथ करता है, he is ready to sail along with them. Inside the Congress, if he thinks that there is some resolution, there is some move which he considers to be not in line, true line with the development of Indian nationalism, he opposes it. In 1909, when the principle of separate electorate is introduced through the Morley-Minto reforms, he opposes it as the president of the Congress at Lahore. In 1916, he is not very happy, but keeps silent, supports the Congress Muslim League scheme for Swaraj, because Tilak is also there, and he also realizes that this is high time when we put a strong Hindu-Muslim face, and of course the ambit of separate electorate in 1916 was very limited. So he supports the Congress League scheme passed at the Lucknow session of the Congress and sails along with it. He is in favor of raising the issue of caliphate, Turkish caliphate, but he does not want the issue of caliphate to be made an indispensable part of an all India anti-imperialist movement. कि खिलाफत के खलीफा के मुद्दे को आप उठाएं, यह सही मुद्दा है, लेकिन एक राष्ट्रव्यापी अंग्रेजी छोड़ो आंदोलन के खिलाफ अंग्रेजी विरोधी आंदोलन का इसको अनिवार्य हिस्सा न बनाएं. In 1923, he contests the election to the Central Legislative Assembly, but he is not on the same page with the Swarajists. क्यों? क्योंकि स्वराज पार्टी ने यह एक सिद्धांत बनाया कि हम विधायिका में घुसेंगे और घुस करके उसका विरोध करेंगे। तो मालवीय जी का कहना है फिर घुसे ही क्यों? यदि आप विधायिका में जाते हैं तो उसका बेहतर इस्तेमाल कैसे कर सकते हैं? he favored that kind of scheme. He was elected as an independent, but inside the Central Legislative Assembly, he formed his own nationalist group which cooperated with the Swarajists on important concerns affecting India. जो महत्वपूर्ण मुद्दे हैं हिंदुस्तान के लिए, भारत के लिए, उस पर उस इंडिपेंडेंट ग्रुप के साथ, वह स्वराजिस्ट ग्रुप के साथ, सीआर दास, मोतीलाल नेहरू के ग्रुप के साथ पार्टिसिपेट करने के लिए, कोऑर्डिनेट करने के लिए, समन्वय करने के लिए तैयार है। In 1925, a group within महाराष्ट्र, जो स्वराजिस्ट है पहले और बाद में मोतीलाल नेहरू की नीतियों से, स्वराजिस्ट पार्टी की नीतियों से परेशान होकर के वह अलग ग्रुप बनाते हैं, रिस्पॉन्सिविस्ट कोऑपरेशन पार्टी बनाते हैं। एंड दे से दैट इफ वी गेट एन ऑफिस ऑन ऑनरेबल टर्म्स वी शुड एक्सेप्ट इट। मोतीलाल नेहरू इज वेरी एनॉयड। एंड व्हाट इज मालवीय डूइंग? ट्राइंग टू ब्रिंग द टू ग्रुप्स टुगेदर एट द कानपुर सेशन ऑफ द कांग्रेस। ही वांट्स स्वराजिस्ट की थोड़ा सा आप अपने टैक्टिक्स को हल्का से चेंज कीजिए, लेकिन नहीं हो पाता है। फिर साबरमती में गांधी के प्रेजेंस में भी कुछ चीजें होती हैं, लेकिन बाद में मोतीलाल नेहरू बैक ट्रैक कर जाते। मोतीलाल नेहरू ने कहते हैं कि नहीं, हमारा वह इरादा नहीं था जो आप वहां समझ रहे। तो बाय द मिडल ऑफ 1926 द रिलेशनशिप बिटवीन मोतीलाल नेहरू एंड मालवीय हिट्स ए नादिर। एंड इंटरेस्टिंगली लाजपत राय इज नाउ ऑन द सेम बोट एज मालवीय। लाजपत राय भी अप्रसन्न है इस बात से कि स्वराजिस्ट अपने प्रोग्राम में कोई परिवर्तन नहीं करना चाहते। टुगेदर मालवीय एंड लाजपत राय फॉर्म ए पार्टी, इंडिपेंडेंट कांग्रेस पार्टी, और कुछ महत्वपूर्ण सीटों को जीतते हैं। रिस्पॉन्सिविस्ट पार्टी अलग से जीतती है। इन 1932-33 he is opposed to communal award, but when the Congress doesn't oppose the communal award, maintains a position of neutrality, we will neither accept the communal award nor oppose the communal award. So Malviya and MS Annie, they resigned from the Congress parliamentary board and formed their own party for contesting elections called the Congress Nationalist Party. And Malviya makes it very clear to everybody, every member of the electorate, कि हमें और कांग्रेस में सिर्फ यही फर्क है कि कांग्रेस कम्युनल अवार्ड पे दुविधाग्रस्त है, कोई पोजीशन नहीं ले रही है। हम कम्युनल अवार्ड पे आउटराइटली रिजेक्ट करते हैं। बट ऑन बोथ दीज ओकेजन्स इन 1926, 1934 and then again in 1937, Malviya doesn't allow Hindu Mahasabha to contest elections because he makes it very clear that for all patriots Congress is the main vehicle. जो भी राष्ट्रवादी तत्व हैं, जो भी जिनको भी अंग्रेजी सत्ता का विरोध करना है, चाहे वो किसी भी कोई भी विचार लेकर के चल रहे हैं, कांग्रेस के तरफ से ही आना है। इसलिए 1926 में जो पार्टी का नाम दिया उसका नाम रखा इंडिपेंडेंट कांग्रेस पार्टी। 1934 में जो नाम रखा उसका नाम रखा कांग्रेस नेशनलिस्ट पार्टी, ताकि किसी को यह ना लगे कि कांग्रेस के विरोध में खड़े। तो जो महत्वपूर्ण मुद्दे थे जिन पर उनका विरोध हो सकता है उतना को अपने साथ रखेंगे, बाकी हम कांग्रेस के साथ। सो एट द पीक ऑफ हिज करियर इन 1930-34 he forms his own party, and in 1935 at the golden jubilee celebration of Congress at Bombay Gokuldas Tejpal Sanskrit College, Malviya is again called by Congress to lay the foundation stone. Such was the aura, such was the persona. Malviya stood for Hindu-Muslim unity, stood for removal of untouchability. गांधी के साथ कितने समय, और गांधी ने कई बार एक पत्रकार को बोलते भी हैं कि कुछ नेताओं के में बिल्कुल स्पष्ट परिवर्तन देखा जा सकता है छुआछूत को लेकर के। उसमें सबसे महत्वपूर्ण मालवीय का नाम बताते कि देखिए मालवीय हमारे साथ हमेशा चल रहे हैं। जब काशी में दशाश्वमेध घाट पर मंत्र दीक्षा देनी थी, लोगों का छुआछूत जो जिनको उस कैटेगरी में माना जाता था उसको खत्म करना था, तो हिंदू विश्वविद्यालय के ओरिएंटल फैकल्टी ने मालवीय जी का विरोध किया। मालवीय जी ने उनसे शास्त्रार्थ किया एंड दे वर कन्विंस्ड। इन 1928 दिसंबर कांग्रेस सेशन कलकत्ता सेशन खत्म हो गया। मालवीय जी लोहा घाट पर मंत्र दीक्षा के लिए खड़े हैं, बहुत विरोध हो रहा है। कुछ ऑर्थोडॉक्स ग्रुप्स जिनको शास्त्र की ठीक समझ व्याख्या नहीं समझ में आ रही थी, फिर काफी लंबा शास्त्रार्थ होता है, फिर भी विरोध होता है और लगभग 4000 हरिजनों को मंत्र दीक्षा दी जाती। In 1932, when Gandhi sits on fast in Yeravada jail against separate electorates being given to scheduled castes in the communal award, Malviya is among the first Hindu leaders to give a call for opening of all temples for these groups and reaches Pune. और वहां पे जितने भी हिंदू लीडर्स और अंबेडकर जी हैं, एमसी राजा, सबको इकट्ठा करना और कास्ट हिंदू के तरफ से उसमें पूना समझौता में हस्ताक्षर करना। उसके बाद एक और कॉन्फ्रेंस करना जिसमें जो प्रतिज्ञा ली गई वह हरिजन जो पत्र बनाया खोला गया गांधी के द्वारा और जो सेवक संघ खोला गया उसका भी वह प्रतिज्ञा पत्र बना। राउंड टेबल कॉन्फ्रेंस में गांधी के साथ जाकर के वहां पर गांधी के साथ गांधी के बारे में वहां राउंड टेबल कॉन्फ्रेंस में बोलना कि गांधी जी जो कह रहे हैं ये ठीक करें, इनकी बात को सुनिए, यदि आप हिंदुस्तान का भला चाहते हैं तो गांधी जी की बातों को सुनिए। 1932 सितंबर में पूना समझौता होता है एंड देन ही रियलाइजेस कि सेपरेट इलेक्टेड का मुद्दा शेड्यूल कास्ट के लिए तो खत्म हो गया, लेकिन कास्ट हिंदूज का वोट सीट्स बहुत श्रिंक कर गया, खास करके बंगाल में। वहां यूरोपियन कम्युनिटी को कैवेटेज यदि कम कर दिया जाए तो दैट कुड बी एक्सपेंडेड। अंबेडकर ऑल्सो एग्रीड विद दिस फॉर्मूला एंड फॉर getting away from the separate electorates considered to the Muslim community, he called a unity conference of all communities at Allahabad in November-December 1932. मौलाना आजाद से बात हुई, शौकत अली से बात हुई, सैयद महमूद से बात हुई, एम ए अंसारी और खालिकुज्जमा ने भी समर्थन के पत्र भेजे। ऑल पार्टीज मुस्लिम कॉन्फ्रेंस ने भी अपने प्रतिनिधि मंडल को भेजा और 2 हफ्ते का शिविर चला। कुछ महत्वपूर्ण मुद्दों पर साम्य हो गया, सहमति बनी कि ज्वाइंट इलेक्टोरेट होगा, 32% प्रतिनिधित्व होगा केंद्रीय विधायिका में मुसलमानों के लिए, बंगाल और पंजाब में मेजॉरिटी होगी, सिंध का सेपरेशन होगा विद सर्टेन कंडीशंस। और अब ये कमेटी कलकत्ता जा रही थी यूरोपियन के वेटेज को कम करने के लिए, उस कम्युनिटी से संवाद करने के लिए। तब तक सैमुअल होर सेक्रेटरी ऑफ स्टेट का आदेश आ गया कि मुसलमानों को हम सेपरेट इलेक्टोरेट दे रहे हैं और 33% रिजर्वेशन दे रहे हैं केंद्रीय विधायिका में अलॉन्ग विद सेपरेट इलेक्टोरेट एंड वी आर सेपरेटिंग सिंध विदाउट एनी प्री कंडीशन। तो जो यूनिटी कॉन्फ्रेंस का जो गेन्स था उसको सैमुअल होर के कदम से, ब्रिटिश इंपीरियल गवर्नमेंट के कदम से क्षण भर में ही खत्म हो गया। ही वॉज अ ह्यूज एडवोकेट ऑफ हिंदू मुस्लिम यूनिटी और कई जगह कहते भी है, आपको कुछ उदाहरण बताता हूं। लाहौर में सितंबर 1922 में सांप्रदायिक कोहट और मुल्तान के कारण, मालाबार के कारण सांप्रदायिक सद्भाव खराब हो गया है। लाहौर में भाषण दे रहे हैं मालवीय जी 26 सितंबर 1922 को एंड सेड टू द पीपल गैदर्ड देयर, भारतवर्ष इज आवर लैंड ऑफ बर्थ, वी आर ऑल हिंदुस्तानीज, Every corner of this land is sacred. It is our duty to welcome every Hindustani and help him in distress. Every Hindustani is our brother. If this kind of love for the country is felt in our heart, then there will be no incident similar to what we have seen in Lahore or Multan. उसके बाद उन्होंने बोला, Hindus, please understand. Musalmans, you must also understand. Khuda, Paramatma and Akal Purush are one and the same. No Molvi, no Pandit or Gyani Granthi has ever shown them as separate. The God of the Musalmans is the same as that of the Hindus. We are all creation of one God. Our third relationship is that of belonging to the same country. The countries of the Musalmans outside India is Arabia, Persia, Turkestan, Iran or Turkey. But the country of India's Musalmans is India only. My submission is that the people out to weaken unity are actually those who are not concerned about religion at all. जिनको धर्म की समझ नहीं है, वही धार्मिक संप्रदायों के नाम पर उन्माद फैलाते हैं। 28 जून 1933 लाहौर में बोल रहे हैं मदन मोहन मालवीय और बताते हैं कि कैसे उनका धर्म एक बहुत एक्सपेंसिव फिलोसॉफिकल पोजीशन लेता है। He says, it is no less shameful for all of us to look upon the foreigners to secure our interest. हम विदेशियों की तरफ क्यों देखते हैं कि वो हमें सुरक्षा प्रदान करेगा? I have great faith in the religion that I follow, but my head bows down whenever I pass by a church or a mosque. My head bows down with reverence to them unknown to me. श्रद्धा, मैं नहीं जानता हूं उस धर्म के बारे में बहुत ज्यादा, लेकिन श्रद्धा से मेरा सर झुक जाता है. He is among the leading votaries of Hindu-Muslim unity. Even in 1946, जब नोआखाली में चीजें चल रही हैं, वहां वो लेख लिख रहे हैं, वहां भी इस बात को बोल रहे हैं कि ये ठीक है, हिंदुओं को मजबूत होना चाहिए, लेकिन हिंदू मुस्लिम एकता स्थापित करना हमारे सबसे बड़ा कर्तव्य होना चाहिए. And in the Indian national movement after 1937-38, physically he is no more capable of leading a movement. He becomes wheelchair driven. But in 1942, when the Quit India movement, the call for Quit India movement is given, he wholeheartedly supports. And he opposes the entry of police in the BHU campus. Of course, he tells the students कि आप हिंसा मत कीजिए. गांधी जी ने आपको हिंसा के लिए नहीं बोला है, बट पुलिस को मना किया कि हिंदू यूनिवर्सिटी कैंपस में न घुसे. 1946 में, in spite of his ill health, he travels to Delhi and makes his point कि देश का विभाजन न हो, किसी भी सूरत में नहीं होना चाहिए. On his death in November 1946, I will tell you how some of these great people spoke about him. Gandhi's obituary, it was published in the Leader. Malviya's internal life exemplified purity, and Gandhi said it on so many occasions. His life was as clean as it was simple. He was a repository of kindness and gentleness, a spirit of accommodation. This is very important about Malviya. A spirit of accommodation was part of his nature. His multifarious activities were a necessary result of his being singled out for selfless service. This was extremely important. Jawaharlal Nehru moved a resolution in the Constituent Assembly calling Malviya a giant among men, as one of those who laid the foundation of modern Indian nationalism, and year by year built it brick by brick and stone by stone, the noble edifice of India's freedom, the freedom that we are actually talking about today. And the Hindustan Times tribute I find most interesting. A great Sanskrit scholar, a staunch supporter of Hindu religion, first-rate politician, and top rank educationist all rolled into one. He had no equal in the country. Thank you so much. With these words, I am extremely thankful to the esteemed guests gathered here, to dear students for listening to me patiently.
Thank you so much, sir, for this enriching talk. Now I open the floor for audience to ask questions.
Can I?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
yes.
Chris.
It's really amazing to hear from Dr. Bhunja. It's an enlightening talk. Right. So I am Kristudas. I teach history at Jesus and Mary College. My question is, I think, very simple. I'm asking this question in the recent context because Indian Council of Historical Research has formed a 3-member committee recently to study the Mapla rebellion. I am connecting to Pandit Madan Mohan Malaviyaji's remark in 1922. I think, I'm sure you must have gone through some documents. I'm very interested to hear something from you. When he attended the All India Hindu Mahasabha session at Gaya in 1922, I think this could possibly be one of the reasons why Sarvapalli Gopal calls him as a Hindu communalist. Christopher Bailey even goes to the extent to call him a classical liberal. Bipan Chandra also calls him a liberal communalist. And I'm coming to that point. I think in 1922, he also says that there's a Hindu weakness, that Hindu get killed in Malabar and elsewhere. So this is exactly the period 1921 Malabar rebellion also takes place from August 1921 to 22. And he also says that after giving graphic details of riots in which Hindus were killed and their women humiliated, molested, and therefore he calls upon Hindu women to be strong enough to protect themselves, like what he calls the Christian women of Europe. So, it is in this context. What could you please throw some light on his encounter with this Malabar rebellion? Because I think it's hotly debated, has been debated in the recent past, at least a couple of weeks. So, what is his understanding and the encounter with particular reference to Malabar, and later possibly how this could have changed his entire attitude towards Hindu unity or Hindu organization? Just I would be grateful if you have some interesting information to share. Thank you.
Thank you, Kristu. You raised a very important question, and this is one part which, since there was paucity of time, we could have covered this part also. Malviya was a supporter of Hindu Sangathan. So Sangathan had different subsets. The idea of Hindu Sangathan had different subsets. The one important part was organic unity of the community. And different leaders of the Hindu Sabha from 1910 onwards are also looking at the organic unity of the Muslims in India and all across the world. And they are also appealing कि हिंदू लोग इतने ज़्यादा डिवीजन करके रहेंगे तो we can never achieve that organic unity. वो तो होना चाहिए. And therein they also oppose the system of untouchability. Second important part was, and about which I have also written a paper, I will share it with you once this lecture is over. And that was of physical regeneration of the Hindu youth. When Malviya prepared the first prospectus of the, I'm not going to 1922 here, I am coming to 1904, much before the Malabar Mapila rebellion happened, riots happened. In 1904, in the first prospectus of the Hindu University, he writes it very clearly that Hindus must build their physique. He talks of brahmacharya. He talks of yogasana. He talks of breathing exercises. Even in his editorial in Abhyuday, he writes how to breathe correctly. In the Hindu University prospectus, he talks about the community and its development. So he is talking about physical regeneration from that perspective, that you wake up early, you sleep early, you build your limbs, don't go to unnecessary consumptions, have good food, run daily, have some yogasana every day. So that was part of, and that's why he's talking time and again that the Hindu University should be a fully residential campus, where we are not just teaching the students, but we are taking full care of his body also. So that part is there. He's also the founder of Sanatan Dharma Mahasabha in 1906, and he had also been part of the Bharat Dharma Mahamandal founded by Deendayal Sharma. That Sanatanism runs into his blood. He all the time talks about Sanatan and Dharma, but in Dharma he is a votary of non-violence. But when it comes to self-defense, यदि आत्मरक्षा का प्रश्न हो तो वह फिर गांधी वाली बात नहीं कहते हैं. ऑफ कोर्स ही इज ए वोटरी, ही इज ए सपोर्टर ऑफ सत्याग्रह, लेकिन जहां आत्मरक्षा का प्रश्न है, और ये नोआखाली में भी, नोआखाली वाले इंसिडेंट पर भी बोलते हैं कि जहां आत्मरक्षा का प्रश्न होगा वहां मैं ये नहीं कहता हूं कि आप हमेशा अहिंसा का पालन करें. एंड द मपीला रिबेलियन ऑफ 1921, Mapilas had rebelled earlier also. Malabar had been the seat of rebellions earlier also, and economic underpinnings were there because that class composition was also important. But what happened in 1921 was different from what had happened earlier, both in its scale, magnitude, and the number of conversions. I would not get into the graphic details because in every communal right, in every violence, there would be something very terribly wrong. तो उसका ग्राफिक डिटेल से तो कोई फायदा नहीं है. बट इन 1921 एंड सम राइटर्स हैव आल्सो रिटन कि जो खिलाफत आंदोलन का हिस्सा अपनाया गया, खिलाफत को लिया गया, सो देयर वाज सर्टेन शार्पनिंग ऑफ आइडेंटिटी अमंग द उलेमास, या उलेमा का एक्सेप्टेबिलिटी इस्लामिक कम्युनिटी में बढ़ गया, टू द एक्सटेंट दैट व्हेन आचार्य कृपलानी was interviewed by the Nehru Memorial Museum in Library in 1960s, he said that during the Khilafat movement, progressive Muslims like Ansari, M.A. Ansari and Sayyid Mahmud were not accepted by the Muslims unless they grew beard. Somebody like M.A. Ansari had to grow beard so that his brethren will hear him during the Khilafat meetings. So that aspect is there. In Malabar also, the impact of Khilafat has been felt. In 1921, 1922, the canvas of the communal rights is very different from earlier. अब उसको किस तरह से लोग interpret करेंगे, that is up to them. But surely, definitely, the Hindu Mahasabha was reorganized because of the impact of the Malabar. 1922, 1923, Gaya and Banaras sessions, both sessions are presided over by Malviya. While he talks of strengthening of the limbs, the physical regeneration, he also talks about the removal of untouchability, given equal rights to the members of the so-called untouchable castes to enter the temples, to join the educational institutions. तो वहां संगठन का दोनों अर्थ है, but he is not introducing that kind of war-like courses in the Hindu University. If you look at the prospectus of the Hindu University and also look at the courses that were introduced subsequently in the Hindu University, you don't have such courses. धर्म के बारे में है, और धर्म के बारे में क्या है, बिल्कुल जो सनातनी परंपरा का है, उसमें भी जो नॉन हिंदूज हैं, इट इज नॉट कंपल्सरी फॉर देम टू अटेंड. हिंदूज में भी यदि किसी के पेरेंट्स बोलते हैं कि नहीं हमारा बच्चा नहीं जाएगा आपके धर्म के क्लास में, वेल एंड गुड, उसके लिए भी जरूरी नहीं है. लेकिन धर्म का जो है अर्थ वहां आचरण से है, कंडक्ट से है. एंड ही टेल्स टाइम एंड अगेन कि जो हिंदू यूनिवर्सिटी है, मुस्लिम यूनिवर्सिटी है, बनारस में, अलीगढ़ में, ये दोनों एक कॉर्डियल रिलेशनशिप में डेवलप कर सकते हैं. और हिंदू यूनिवर्सिटी के डेवलप करने में शुरू में तो मोहम्मद, ये जो आगा खान है, उनका कंट्रीब्यूशन भी है, राजा ऑफ महमूदाबाद का भी एडवोकेसी है कि ऐसा यूनिवर्सिटी खुलना चाहिए. तो 22 और 23 में ये चीजें होती हैं, एंड दैट इज नॉट जस्ट मपीला, वो लाहौर भी है, मुल्तान भी है, कोहट भी है। 22 23 के बैकग्राउंड में मुल्तान भी है, कोहट भी है, मालाबार भी है। मालाबार, और मालाबार में आर्य समाजिस्ट जाते हैं। मालवीय डजंट विजिट मालाबार, लेकिन आर्य समाजिस्ट जाते हैं। कुछ कांग्रेस लीडर्स मुंजे वगैरह वहां से जाते हैं, महाराष्ट्र से जाते हैं। तो मालाबार का इंपैक्ट है, उसको किस रूप में कौन मनाएगा, दैट इज अप टू देम। बट व्हेन वी टॉक अबाउट द नेशनलिस्ट मूवमेंट, हाउ डिफरेंट events have taken shape, I consider Malabar event extremely important in the movement for physical regeneration, Hindu Sangathan. Look, B.S. Munje was the chairman of the reception committee of the Congress at Nagpur session in December 1920. In 1923, he visits Malabar and writes a long report on forcible conversions in Malabar. Though he remains in the Congress and also founds the Hindu Sabha helps found the Hindu Sabha in Nagpur, लेकिन उसके बाद फिजिकल रिजर्वेशन के बाद बहुत ज्यादा करते हैं, टू द एक्सटेंट कि 1937 में भोसड़ा मिलिट्री स्कूल शुरू करते हैं नासिक में. My article talks has graphic details of that school. I will share it with you. So that part is, see, we may like some part of the history, we may not like, we may think that part of the history could have happened differently. But as students and researchers of history, we cannot ignore the fact that there were conversions in Malabar and its impact was felt outside also. और हिंदू सभा में तो हुआ ही. Hindu Mahasabha was reorganized in 1922, and Malabar, Kohat and Multan had a definite impact on this reorganization. But when Mahasabha went the Bhai Paramanand way or the Savarkar way, Malviya quietly dissociated himself from Mahasabha. 1932-33 onwards, he is hardly going to Hindu Mahasabha sessions. 1935, last time he goes. But he dissociates himself. Seeks vote in the name of the Congress and the Congress Nationalist Party, never in the name of the Hindu Mahasabha. He does say in some regions that we should support good Hindu candidates. लेकिन किधर से? कांग्रेस की तरफ से, कांग्रेस नेशनलिस्ट पार्टी की तरफ से. I think we can discuss it.
Yeah, thank you so much. Really, it's an enlightening response. Thank you so much. Thank you.
So we can have more questions.
As Nirmal, I would like to ask something.
Yes.
Dr. Bhuvan Jha, thank you so much for this talk, because it took us somewhere else. As far as contributions of Madan Mohan Malviya is to the national movement. But you know, the generation that I come from, which is older than yours, and you know, following Bailey, and then you know, Gyan Pandey quotes Bailey also. You know, Madan Mohan Malviya is associated with Hindi, Hindu, Hindustan. You have attempted, you know, you have explained this concept of Hindi, you know, because Francis Robinson also says the same thing, you know, 13% of the inhabitants of United Provinces could actually read and understand the script, because the difference is not over the spoken language actually, but the script, which is difficult to understand. You have talked about regeneration of the Hindus and how it was close to Madan Mohan Malviya. And very importantly, you know, how he's a signatory to the Pune Pact before it is signed between Ambedkar and Gandhiji. So where do you put this thing, you know, Hindustan, Hindi, Hindu, Hindustan, which is associated with Madan Mohan Malviya? Thank you.
This could be my perception, and you could also be part of it, others can also be a part of it. We analyze the characters of national movement from the perspective of drawing binaries. If somebody is not secular, then he must be necessarily communal. If somebody is not liberal, then he must necessarily be conservative. If somebody is not radical, then he must necessarily be orthodox. If somebody is not a revolutionary, then he must necessarily be a counter-revolutionary. If somebody is not white, then he must necessarily be black. See, our generation is afflicted with such binaries of labeling of individuals. Yes, Malviya is fighting for Hindi, but he is not never opposing Urdu. And when he goes to Lahore and Multan, he speaks in Urdu. जो भाषण दे रहे हैं लाहौर में, मुल्तान में, वो उर्दू में ही भाषण दे रहे हैं. हिंदू हिंदुस्तान जो बनाना चाह रहे हैं, मालवीय तो अपने नाम से मुंह से ये बात नहीं कह रहे हैं, लेकिन यह बार बार कह रहे हैं कि यह जो हिंदुस्तान है इसमें सभी धर्मों के लिए जगह है. हिंदू राष्ट्र की कल्पना बिल्कुल नहीं कर रहे हैं मालवीय जी, वो तो हिंदू धर्म की सुरक्षा की बात कर रहे हैं. इसमें बेली ने या ज्ञान पांडे ने यदि अभ्युदय का लेख पढ़ते, जहां मालवीय एज एन एडिटर बहुत लंबे लंबे लेख लिख रहे हैं और कह रहे हैं, ही इज ब्रिंगिंग इट टाइम एंड अगेन, दैट what dharma teaches us is selflessness, and it is based on this selflessness that we can be true patriots or nationalists. हम स्वार्थ को छोड़ सकते हैं, यदि हम धर्म में लिप्त हो जाएं तो स्वार्थ को छोड़ सकते हैं, और बिना स्वार्थ को छोड़े आप देशभक्त नहीं हो सकते. You can't be very selfish and nationalist at the same time. He makes this distinction in Abhyuday. And Mushrul Hasan and Bipin Chandra and Bailey, Chris Bailey, ज्ञान पांडे अलग अलग तरह से इन बातों को बोलते रहे हैं. कुछ लिबरल कम्युनलिस्ट बोल देते हैं, कुछ सॉफ्ट कम्युनलिस्ट बोल देते हैं, कुछ बेली बोलते हैं कि समझ में नहीं आ रहा है कि मालवीय जी क्या है. अलग अलग तरह से बोलते हैं. बट let us be fair to him. He is a great votary of Hindu-Muslim unity. Inside the Hindu University campus, everybody is welcome. He advocates the founding of the Muslim University at Aligarh also, कि वहां भी विश्वविद्यालय बने, बड़े अच्छा है. धर्म का इसेंस आना चाहिए. हिंदी की वकालत कर रहे हैं. जो हिंदू यूनिवर्सिटी की स्थापना हो रही है तो मालवीय की स्कीम में हिंदी मीडियम होना है. But when Harcourt Butler says, you know, let us have English medium because you want to establish a university with an all India character, he immediately consents, gives his consent. So Hindu University में what is the medium of communication? English, not Hindi. Personally, he is very devoted to Hindi, but inside the legislatures, he always speaks in English. Inside the Allahabad High Court, he always speaks in English. Presidential speeches 1918 December, Delhi, the first Congress session in Delhi was held in December 1918 under Malviya's presidency. People rose to request Malviya to speak in Hindi because his Hindi was marvelous. तो मालवीय ने बोला कि मैं सिर्फ शुरू करूंगा हिंदी से, but there are people in this gathering who have come from Madras, who have come from other provinces, who can't understand Hindi. So I will speak the major part of my speech in English only. He is not very conservative and obscurantist in that sense. जहां अंग्रेजी लीडर का फाउंडिंग, the newspaper leader that was founded from Allahabad, Hindustan Times. Why in English? Because all Indians can understand, even the world outside can understand. हिंदी की सुरक्षा करनी है, लेकिन थोपना नहीं है. जहां अंग्रेजी से काम चलेगा वहां अंग्रेजी से काम चलेगा. एंड लुक एट द डिपार्टमेंट्स विच गेट टॉप प्रायोरिटी इन द हिंदू यूनिवर्सिटी. फैकल्टी ऑफ टेक्नोलॉजी, उसके अंदर बहुत सारे डिपार्टमेंट है, इंडस्ट्रियल केमिस्ट्री है, मेटालर्जी है, एंड द स्टूडेंट्स फ्रॉम दिस डिपार्टमेंट्स इन द हिंदू यूनिवर्सिटी बिकम टॉप साइंटिस्ट्स इन द कंट्री. एंड लुक हु सक्सीड्स राधा मालवीय as the vice chancellor of the Hindu University, Sarvepalli Radhakrishnan. How does he persuade him? Radhakrishnan is not ready. He says कि I don't have time. मुझे कलकत्ता में भी engagement है, कैम्ब्रिज में भी engagement है. Pursues Radhakrishnan, sends his son to Calcutta to talk to Radhakrishnan personally. Why? Because Radhakrishnan persona was such, and Hindu University deserved such a vice chancellor. तो राधाकृष्णन को मनाते हैं, लाते हैं. Look at the faculties that he hires for the Hindu University. There is one Sanskrit scholar in Bombay, Professor Dhruv. He asks Gandhi to write a letter to Professor Dhruv. गांधी जी लिखते हैं ध्रुव को चिट्ठी. He also writes a letter. Dhruv डिसाइड नहीं कर पा रहे हैं बिकॉज ही हैज अ गुड जॉब इन बॉम्बे. ही सेंड्स आचार्य कृपलानी ऑल द वे टू बॉम्बे, उनको मना करके लाइए. फिर ध्रुव तैयार हो जाते हैं. ध्रुव इज गिवन a salary of rupees 1500 per month, the highest salary in Hindu University. क्यों कर रहे हैं? विश्वविद्यालय का नाम बढ़ेगा. ऑब्सकरेंटिस्ट आइडियाज के लिए नहीं, फॉर प्रोग्रेसिव हिंदू आइडियाज, फॉर प्रोग्रेसिव नेशनलिस्ट आइडियाज. जितने भी राष्ट्रवादी आंदोलन हुए हिंदू यूनिवर्सिटी को, एक्सेप्ट फॉर द बायकॉट ऑफ द एजुकेशन इंस्टीट्यूशंस, हिंदू यूनिवर्सिटी स्टूडेंट्स हैड फुल राइट टू पार्टिसिपेट एंड ऑब्जर्व. गांधी 1942 में जो सिल्वर जुबली सेलिब्रेशन, फाउंडिंग में भी 1916 में भी गांधी गेस्ट हैं. 1942 में ही इज द चीफ गेस्ट. He could have called many leaders of the Hindu Mahasabha. So, Malviya has to be relooked into. मुशरुल हसन कहते हैं, कुछ सुमंता बनर्जी, कुछ और लोग कहते हैं that Malviya and Lajpat Rai were creating right-wing pressures within the Congress. ऐसा नहीं है. They are obstructing the Hindu Mahasabha not to adopt a completely anti-Congress posture in the initial years. यदि ये चाहते, लाजपत राय चाहते, मदन मोहन मालवीय चाहते, तो 1923 ईस्वी से ही हिंदू महासभा कांग्रेस के विरोध में इलेक्शन लड़ना शुरू कर देती. इन्होंने नहीं अलाउ किया. और जब हिंदू महासभा ने इलेक्शन लड़ना शुरू किया, मालवीय वाज नॉट पार्ट ऑफ इट. 1927 सैमन कमीशन, एंड दिस इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. मद्रास में अधिवेशन है हिंदू महासभा का. मालवीय, लाजपत राय, जयकर, all three combined together to convince Hindu Mahasabha to fall in line to boycott the Salmon Commission. And 2 days later, on 1st January 1928, Malviya reaches the All India Muslim League session at Calcutta and persuades and speaks in that conference कि हमें सबको मिलकर के, and tells them कि जो साइमन कमीशन है, it is a God-sent opportunity for us to develop Hindu-Muslim unity and put a united front before the imperial government. Rowlatt Act Satyagrah, 6 April 1919, speaking at Allahabad, he says कि रॉलेट आया, ये तो बहुत खराब चीज है, लेकिन देखिए इससे देश में कितनी एकता हो गई. He was a big advocate of India's unity, cutting across community lines. To that Malviya you called communal, it is very unfair.
Can we have Adarsh? You raised hand. Adarsh, you can ask now.
Yes, sir. Good morning, sir.
Okay.
My question is, so what were the terms and conditions laid by British to establish Hindu University in Banaras? And one more question, sir. In recent, in past 2 years, I think there was one controversy regarding the recruitment of one Muslim professor in Sanskrit department. At that time, the Vice Chancellor Rakesh Bhatnagar was there, and he recommended the professor. And what was her view? If Malvi is there, what was her view?
I think both these two questions are important. The second question I will frame on your behalf, because that was not Sanskrit department, that was Department of Dharma Vidya. And that professor is actually not teaching in the Sanskrit department.
Yeah.
That teacher is actually teaching in Sanskrit department, and he was initially recruited in the Department of Dharma Vidya. So we will come to that. But first question is very important. What was the condition put to the Hindu university and the Muslim university to start these denominational universities bearing the prefix Hindu and Muslim? And to be fair to the imperial government, they were not trying to make this land sectarian, at least at this point. बाकी जगह तो किया है, लेकिन इस पॉइंट पे नहीं कर रहे हैं. They are putting similar conditions to the Muslim university and Hindu university. Some conditions like that you should have clear title over the land in which you want to establish a university. Second, there will be no discrimination as far as admissions are concerned. English medium would be the medium of communication. And most important, that you should aim at least 1 crore of subscription amount. and to begin with 50 lakhs rupees in should be in your account. 1 करोड़ का आपके पास चिट्ठी होना चाहिए कि 1 करोड़ रुपया आपको मिल रहा है और 50 लाख एक्चुअली आपके अकाउंट में जमा हो जाना चाहिए. तभी हारकोट बटलर जो 1911 के दिसंबर में when Delhi Darbar was held, Harcourt Butler met the deputation of the Muslim University and the Hindu University in Delhi. Aga Khan was present, Malviya was present, Darbhanga Maharaj was present, and he said that we are putting such kinds of conditions, and then we will convince the Secretary of State. So when Secretary of State's formal sanction came, then these universities were founded. Hindu University first, Muslim University subsequently. So though they held denominational names, they were not supposed to be sectarian, and they were not supposed to be admitting students of only that particular community. And initially the funding was from princely states and from princes and from individual donors, and some parties born, some part of the fund is given by the government also, and subsequently after independence they are taken over by the government. So this is one part. Second part, when this university was founded, there was a department of theology, जिसमें शुरू में मालवीय जी खुद भाषण देते थे, खुद बच्चों को इकट्ठा करते थे. वो आप कह सकते हैं कि एक पुरोहित जो मतलब एक जो शास्त्रीय ज्ञान है, और उसमें कुछ कंडीशन डाल दिया गया. उस समय भी पहले तो था कि ब्राह्मण सिर्फ कर सकते हैं, फिर बाद में आया कि नहीं सिर्फ हिंदू कर सकते हैं. तो जब यह कंट्रोवर्सी हुआ 2 साल पहले 3 साल पहले, दैट बॉय वाज सेलेक्टेड, दैट टीचर वाज सेलेक्टेड टू टीच संस्कृत इन द डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ धर्म विद्या. एंड आफ्टर दिस अपोजिशन, वो उनके विश्वविद्यालय के नियम में शुरू में था, लेकिन जब आप देश आजाद हो गया, जब गवर्नमेंट फंडिंग है, तब वो चीज वहां पर नहीं है. लेकिन उसके विरोध तब आप टेक्निकली नहीं कर सकते हैं. हो सकता है कि उनके कानून में रह गया, मैंने उनके ऑर्डिनेंस को नहीं देखा है. लेकिन सब्सिक्वेंटली यूनिवर्सिटी ने उस बच्चे को, उस टीचर को आर्ट्स फैकल्टी के अंदर संस्कृत डिपार्टमेंट में प्रोफेसर बनाया. सो ही इज नाउ a teacher in the Sanskrit department of the arts faculty. Earlier he would teach Sanskrit in the department of Dharma Vidya. So that is the difference.
In Dharma Vidya there was one board. वहाँ पे लिखा हुआ है कि यहाँ गैर हिंदुओं का प्रवेश वर्जित है. यहाँ पे सिर्फ हिंदू, मतलब हिंदू, बौद्ध और जैन ही अपने धर्म की शिक्षा ले सकते हैं.
क्योंकि देखिए एक डिनोमिनेशनल यूनिवर्सिटी है, मुझसे पूछेगा, मैं बोलूंगा उस कंडीशन की भी जरूरत नहीं है. लेकिन उनका अपना एग्जीक्यूटिव काउंसिल है, यूनिवर्सिटी कोर्ट है, एकेडमिक काउंसिल है, आप उनको अपील कर सकते हैं. लेकिन वह चीज जो शुरू में शुरू हुआ होगा जब हिंदू यूनिवर्सिटी, वो वहां से चला आ रहा है. क्योंकि उनको ये कहना है कि हम यहाँ पर धर्म का ज्ञान दे रहे हैं, और धर्म का ज्ञान एक कन्वेंशनल ट्रेडिशनल सेंस में दे रहे हैं, तो उस धर्म के लोग ही हों. उनका ये तर्क है.
Nirmal, I would like to make one intervention here. Dr. Jha, you know, in a large number of convents, because I went to a convent when I was in school, you know, they have catechism classes for only Christian, we used to have only for Christian girls. Maybe it's also to tell the others that we're not trying to convert by allowing, students of other communities to join that class. I think that could be one reason.
Yes,
also.
yes. And also because, see, there you are imparting dharma. Suppose there is a Hindu traditional festival, तो वहां पर पूजा कौन कराएगा? It's like similar to that. कि भाई एक आप ये कह सकते हैं कि भाई जिसको भी उस पूजा विधि का ज्ञान है करवा सकता है, लेकिन पुरोहित बोलेगा कि नहीं, हमें जिस धर्म का है पूजा है उसी धर्म का आदमी चाहिए. तो दैट कैन बी, एंड शर्मिला श्रीवास्तव हैज रेज्ड ए वेरी वैलिड पॉइंट कि हो सकता है कि दूसरे धर्म के लोगों को भी आपत्ति हो कि हमें उस हिंदू धर्म का ज्ञान क्यों मिले. सो इट मे वर्क द अदर वे अराउंड ऑल्सो.
Yes, sir, yes,
Chahal,
sir.
Preeti
I
Chahal
got the
has,
point.
yeah, yeah. Preeti Chahal wants to ask a question. Preet Chahal.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Sir, as we talk about Madan Mohan Malviya ji, we come to know that he works for Hindu reforms and a Hindu Sangathan and things like that. Contemporary to his time was another very famous important leader, Lokmanya Tilak, Bal Gangadhar Tilak, who is also working for the cause of Hinduism in the state of Maharashtra in the Bombay presidency. So, like, how are their connections between them? Like when they had meetings and gatherings, and how they interacted. So, like, do we have some insights into that?
See, Tilak preceded Malviya in some sense that Tilak belonged to a slightly senior generation. And people knew about the popularity of Tilak and his nationalism, his persona inside Maharashtra and even outside. He also talked about Hindu. He also organized, in fact, he was the first leader to organize the congregation of Hindus around Ganpati and Shivaji festivals during 1890s. But Tilak was also a big votary of Swaraj, and he was the chief architect, one of the chief architects of the Congress and Muslim League unity at Lucknow in 1916. And he was also, he had also coined the slogan that Swaraj is my birthright. And many revolutionaries coming from Maharashtra, they styled themselves on Tilak, कि हम Tilak से inspire हो रहे हैं. They felt that they had been inspired by Tilak. Tilak and Malviya have sailed along well, but there are very strong differences during 1906-1907 on the issue of how Congress should behave after the partition of Bengal. On the front of Swadeshi, Malviya and Tilak are on the same front. Malviya is a big advocate of Swadeshi. और उनका वस्त्र आप देखेंगे और उनका क्रियाकलाप देखेंगे तो स्वदेशी इज इनबिल्ट इन हिज डोमेन. खादी के समर्थक हैं, स्वदेशी इंडस्ट्रीज के समर्थक हैं. जब इंडियन इंडस्ट्रीज कमीशन ने 1916 में बना, उसमें मालवीय इज आल्सो मेंबर. इन 1918 इट gives its report. Malviya gives a long note of dissent because he feels that there is not enough space for native industries and native arts to develop. He is also opposed to deindustrialization of Indian industries in India's industrial towns. So Tilak and Malviya are on the same pace on these things, but as far as Sanatanism is concerned, Malviya is a great advocate. वो धर्म की बात करते हैं, हिंदू शब्द का बहुत ज्यादा इस्तेमाल नहीं करते, धर्म की बात करते हैं, सनातन धर्म की बात करते हैं, धर्मो रक्षति रक्षति रक्षिता की बात करते हैं. लेकिन 1906, 7, 8 में जब कांग्रेस का डिवीजन होने के कगार पर है और साथ में डिवीजन हो भी जाता है, तब वह तिलक की तीखी आलोचना करते हैं. अभ्युदय में हमने एक लेख पढ़ा जिसमें वो तिलक की तीखी आलोचना कर रहे हैं कि तिलक ने जो, तिलक के समर्थकों ने, तिलक पर सीधा नहीं प्रहार करते हैं, लेकिन तिलक के समर्थकों ने जो किया 1907 में सूरत अधिवेशन में जिसमें कि कांग्रेस का विभाजन हुआ, उसकी आलोचना करते हैं. एंड ही सेज कि हमें मिलकर के रहना चाहिए था, लेकिन तिलक के अनुयायियों ने ऐसा नहीं सोचा. ऑफ कोर्स तिलक एंड हिज फॉलोअर्स हैड देयर ओन जस्टिफिकेशन, बट more or less Tilak and Malviya have sailed along well.
So can we have more questions, sir?
Yes, please. शिक्षक को और क्या चाहिए, प्रश्न चाहिए. शिक्षक के लिए तो बड़ा अच्छा है कि और प्रश्न आ रहे हैं.
Yes, sir. Dr. Kakoli De.
Yes, Kakoli.
Madam has raised hand.
It was wonderful listening to you, Dr. Jha. And it's always pleasant to hear your research on history. What I feel also in line with you that yes, we have this multilingualism and this multi-ethnic India, and the role of immigration and who came here first, what was the social setting here in India. These are all not so much well documented in history. But then, yes, we can get some kind of ideas through this kind of great leaders, reformist India has witnessed. At the same time, also, I would like to say that this geographic space, there is one political space, which is divided, and there's another one which is uh, we cannot actually demark a line that which are this Hindi belt and which is other belt. We cannot do like this today. And moreover, we cannot have this monolingual community in India. This days. Before also it was not there. It was very rare to come by with a monolingual culture. But yes, I agree with you that whatever this Madan Mohan Malviya have said and shows that liberalism, then adaptability, and he's also trying to bring every Indians together in one platform, which is I think I really adore for this kind of philosophy he had in his mind. And your talk has really enlightened me more. Thank you so much. Thank you. I don't have any queries, but this is what I feel as a language researcher. Thank you so much.
Yeah, he is a votary of Hindi, but he's not opposed to other languages.
Yes.
And he is a votary of Hindi because his Sanatanism teaches that spread your mother tongue, talk, advocate your mother tongue.
Yes.
But he takes cognizance of the fact that we are a multilingual society. And when the Hindu University gets founded, he doesn't impose Hindi as the medium of communication.
Right.
He easily agrees to English being the medium of communication because he realizes that for the communities to rise, they must have the best ideas through any language that it may come.
Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you.
I think Professor Basu wants to ask a question. Monmai Basu, please, Monmai Basu.
Yes, I just, sorry Bhuvan, I don't have any question for you, but I just wanted to congratulate you for and thank you very much for such a wonderful talk. And it has in fact widened my horizon of knowledge about Madan Mohan Malviya, and I'm so thankful to you for it. And actually you have spoken about so many aspects of his character, of his ideas, of his ideology, of his contribution. It was really very thought-provoking, and you have talked extensively about his Hindu-Muslim unity. So much so, therefore, he was definitely a secular person. So calling him a liberal communal or soft communal, I think it is very wrong. When we should be very fair to him, as you have rightly said, trying to speak of the bright side of a religion or to follow the practices, good practices of a religion, that doesn't definitely make a person communal. On the other hand, he was quite open and very liberal towards his attitude towards all religions, and for example he accepted English. He was always spoke about Hindu-Muslim. He was a staunch supporter of Hindu-Muslim unity. So definitely he was a very, very of course he was scholarly, but he was a very, very secular person. So for giving such a wide perspective of Madan Mohan Malviya and such a good perspective, and at least enlightening me for about him, I'm really grateful to you. Thank you so much, Bhuvan. Absolutely, we should develop a very fair perspective. You have shown a very fair perspective, very, very just perspective of Madan Mohan Malviya.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
And Professor Sanjay Verma is, sir, please ask a question.
Not even doctor.
But you are
not even a doctor, not even a professor. So I am just Sanjay Verma. And no, there is no.
See, a professor is one who professes truth.
Well, I don't know when I the last truth, or even the first truth, right? So I do not know about that. No, and there is no question. There's one simple thing. That is something which needs to be probed further. and that is articulating nationalism through religious idioms. To say that, that he was Sanatani, he was working for Hindu, and that he was not, opposed to other religion or religious beliefs, right? That is something which is, I don't think that is my understanding. That is, I don't think that is a very, very positive thing. That I am not opposed to any religion. My not being opposed to any religion does not mean I am standing in support of those religions. So that is something which needs to be probed a little further. I think even in the case of Madan Mohan Malviya as well as Lajpat Rai, then nobody can doubt their nationalism, nobody can doubt their contribution to the national movement. So that is that apart. But if we take the larger question of nationalism itself, so this is something which needs to be probed a little further, or maybe you have already probed it, and maybe you would write something on that or say something about it. That is so that is something, because I personally feel that that of course when by 1930s they withdraw. I mean, Madan Mohan Malviya is he starts advising people not to go to Mahasabha, right? That is there, of course, there. I mean, that is what happened to various other people in the provinces. Lala Jagat Narayan Lal being one of them, being advised not to go to. That is true. But what happens is that this long association, and I think there are others also who are not being probed. I mean, there should be also that aspect should also be probed. This long association with this particular organization gave a kind of a legitimacy in the minds of the people at that time, which today is proving to be a little costly in that sense. So that is, I mean, it's not a question of one. You need not. It's not necessary. Not necessary.
But we can always discuss it.
Yeah.
See, the kind of nationalism which Malviya and Lajpat Rai are trying to articulate, they don't want to leave the community in a lurch. They feel that if the community develops, then nationalist unity or nationalism also develops. If the community is fragmented, then we cannot think of a strong nationalist unity or a strong nationalist development. That is one part of it. Of course, we try to look at them from the perspective of 21st century or post-colonial perspective. और कुछ हम लोग कहीं से कुछ jargons भी कभी-कभी लाते हैं. लेकिन the point that I am trying to make is that some solutions of the divisions within the society can be found in the prescriptions given by Lajpat Rai और मदन मोहन मालवीय, कि जिस राष्ट्रवाद की, और it's not that they are opposing or they are being neutral to other religions. Malviya said it very clearly कि यदि मैं गिरजाघर के सामने से गुजरता हूं, मस्जिद के सामने से गुजरता हूं, तो मेरा सर इज्जत से झुक जाता है. तो अर्थ यह है कि यदि आप डिवोट मुस्लिम हैं, डिवोट क्रिश्चियन है, तो मालवीय हैज ए प्लेस फॉर यू इन हिज हार्ट. ही टेल्स हिज हिंदू ब्रदरन कि आप जो पादरियों के साथ रहते हैं, और आप पादरियों से सीखिए कि कितना सेल्फलेसली वो अपने धर्म का प्रचार कर रहे हैं. तो आप भी अपने धर्म की अच्छी बातों का प्रचार कीजिए. यदि आप उनसे कुछ सीख सकते हैं, उनके संपर्क में रह करके, तो इस काम को सीखिए. धर्म का विरोध मत कीजिए. ये मत सोचिए कि देश का पतन धर्म के कारण हुआ. उनका ये कहना है, जब तक हिंदुस्तान है, जब तक यह राष्ट्र है, तब तक धर्म है. धर्म के बिना यह राष्ट्र नहीं हो सकता है. वो किस धर्म की बात कर रहे हैं? वो एक परंपरा की बात कर रहे हैं, अच्छी चीजों की बात कर रहे हैं, एक सेल्फलेसनेस की बात कर रहे हैं, एक डिवोट लिविंग स्टाइल की बात कर रहे हैं. जब राउंड टेबल कॉन्फ्रेंस में जा रहे हैं या कांग्रेस के किसी अधिवेशन में जा रहे हैं, ही हैज हिज ओन ऑर्थोडॉक्स अपब्रिंगिंग, ही कुक्स हिज फूड हिमसेल्फ. लेकिन कोई दूसरा यदि किसी और का बनाया हुआ खाना खा रहा है, उससे उनको कोई दिक्कत नहीं है. लेकिन अपना पर्सनल लाइफ स्टाइल जो एक अपब्रिंगिंग है, वो एक स्टॉन्च सांस्कृतिक इन्वायरमेंट में, he doesn't divorce himself from that kind of upbringing. उससे लगे हुए हैं, उसके अंदर रह करके जितना राष्ट्र की बात करते हैं, और वो कहते भी हैं कि इसी से राष्ट्र आगे बढ़ सकता है. And that can be one prescription for bringing about more unity in the country even today. Not in the same way, because colonial government as an important partner is not there. हिंदू महासभा, भाई परमानंद, when भाई परमानंद was asked कि आपको क्यों हिंदू महासभा से, आप मालवीय जी से कैसे डिफरेंस शुरू हुआ, and he said it that our differences began when on the question of whether Hindu Mahasabha should fight elections directly. And as Dr. Sanjay Verma has pointed out, that it gave legitimacy to Hindu Mahasabha. Yes, till the time they are there. But look at the electoral performance of the Hindu Mahasabha. In 1946, only Hindu Mahasabha garners only 1% of the electoral vote of the non-Muslim constituencies, while the Congress gets 90% vote. Willingly or unwillingly, यहाँ जो हिंदू वोट है वो गांधी की तरफ जा रहा है, कांग्रेस की तरफ जा रहा है. When Acharya Kripalani was asked this question कि हिंदू महासभा का क्यों नहीं वोट, बोला कि Hindus considered Gandhi as their leader. Muslims also considered. लेकिन majority of Muslims in Bengal and Punjab in 1940s, they did not consider Gandhi as leader. इसलिए गांधी के नाम पर वो वोट देने के लिए तैयार नहीं थे. Gandhi himself says this, कि there was a time then when I commanded the respect of every Muslim in this country. And here is a time when I get abuses from the Urdu press day in and day out. So Hindu Mahasabha is not something to which Hindus are looking up to. They are looking up to Hindu Mahasabha in certain pockets which are communally sensitive, but not in other pockets. वहां तो कांग्रेस अब नहीं, ऐसा नहीं होता. The people like Jagat Narayan Lal and many others, how could have they hopped between Hindu Mahasabha and Congress? In 1915, when All India Hindu Mahasabha was founded at Haridwar, Gandhi is also there present. उनको लगा कि ये सामाजिक कार्य हो रहा है. 1922 के दिसंबर में गया के पंडाल पे हिंदू सभा का सेशन होता है. राजेंद्र प्रसाद इज द चेयरमैन ऑफ द रिसेप्शन कमिटी. एंड टिल वेरी लेट कांग्रेस एंड हिंदू सभा सेशंस, हिंदू महासभा सेशंस वर हेल्ड इन द सेम पंडाल. कांग्रेस का सेशन खत्म हुआ, इसी पंडाल में फिर हिंदू सभा महासभा का सेशन है. तो टू से कि कांग्रेस जो नेशनलिज्म प्रीच कर रही है और हिंदू महासभा जो इनिशियल डेज में कह रही है वो बहुत डिफरेंट है, आई डोंट एग्री विद दैट. How else both the leaders could function in both the organizations? It is only in 1938, after the Congress has lost elections in the Muslim reserved constituency in a very bitter way. बहुत खराब परफॉर्मेंस है कांग्रेस का. और जब नेहरू जी मुस्लिम मास कॉन्टैक्ट कैंपेन शुरू करते हैं, it is only around that time in 1938 that the Congress puts a condition कि यदि आप हिंदू महासभा और मुस्लिम लीग के सदस्य रहेंगे तो आप कांग्रेस के सदस्य नहीं हो सकते हैं.
Okay, now it's time to wind up. It was
एक Mr. Rakesh Annu है.
Okay.
Yes,
Yes.
good afternoon to you all.
हाँ.
My question is that we
Okay,
have been
Rakesh,
so we have been giving a lot of emphasis on the term dharma, right? What is the exact connotation of the term dharma in the perspective of Malviya and yours too? What I wanted the explanation in the secular sphere, because nowadays in the contemporary era, the dharma has been manipulated, right? In the term dharma is getting manipulated, and what is the exact connotation of the dharma can be derived from the exact connotation? I want to know.
बिल्कुल, बहुत अच्छा प्रश्न आपने पूछा है. वो धर्म को बिल्कुल कर्मकांड से नहीं जोड़ते हैं, रिचुअल से नहीं जोड़ करके देखते हैं. एक रहने की शैली, जीवन की शैली, और धर्म वह है जो आप जिसका धारण करते हैं. आपके व्यवहार में वो चीज, आप पुत्र हैं तो पुत्र का क्या धर्म होना चाहिए, पति हैं तो पति का क्या धर्म होना चाहिए, बेटी है तो बेटी का क्या धर्म होना चाहिए, आप विद्यार्थी हैं तो विद्यार्थी का क्या धर्म होना चाहिए. वहां पर वो कंडक्ट की बात है. जहां पर वो सनातन धर्म की बात कह रहे हैं, सनातनी परंपरा की बात कह रहे हैं, वहां उनका यह कहना है कि आधुनिक समय में, खास करके अंग्रेजों के आने के बाद, हमारी परंपरा को लोग बहुत हे दृष्टि से देखने लगे हैं. और ये बार बार कहते हैं कि कुछ लोग जो अंग्रेजी पढ़ लेते हैं उनको लगता है कि हम बहुत निकृष्ट जीवन जी रहे हैं, जबकि उनको उनसे सीखना चाहिए, उन क्रिश्चियन पादरियों से, कि जो इतना दूर आकर के भी अपने धर्म का प्रचार कर रहे हैं. और एक हमारे लोग हैं जो सनातन धर्मी होकर के भी उससे बिलोंग करने के बावजूद भी उसको हे दृष्टि से देखते हैं क्योंकि वो अंग्रेजी पढ़ चुके हैं. इस तरह की बातें करते हैं. इसलिए धर्म को संकुचित रूप से नहीं देख रहे हैं, धर्म को एक विस्तृत रूप से देख रहे हैं। महिलाओं का उत्थान है या जो सो कॉल्ड हरिजन्स है उनके उत्थान की बात है। और मालवीय, लाइक मेनी अदर्स ऑफ हिज जनरेशन, इज इन फेवर ऑफ ग्रेजुअल इवोल्यूशन। उनको ये नहीं लगता है कि एक ही दिन में परिवर्तन हो जाएगा, एक ही दिन में छुआछूत खत्म हो जाएगा, लेकिन ग्रेजुअली हो सकता है। पटना जाते हैं 1940 के दशक में, 1940 के आसपास या उससे थोड़ा पहले, और कोई उनको जगजीवन राम से मिलवाता है। ही वाज स्टिल ए किड। ही ब्रिंग्स जगजीवन राम टू हिंदू यूनिवर्सिटी, गिव्स हिम फ्री एजुकेशन। जगजीवन राम के बारे में पढ़िएगा, आपको पता चलेगा हाउ मालवीय ट्रीटेड जगजीवन राम। And then Jagjivan Ram goes on to become one of the biggest leaders of the Congress party. So the Hindu University एक किसी का ट्रांसक्रिप्ट में पढ़ रहा था, and he had some affiliation with the Communist Party, and he told मालवीय कि आपको मुझसे खतरा नहीं लगता है कि मैं बच्चों को कम्युनिस्ट आइडियाज बताऊंगा। उन्होंने बोला हमें, मुझे क्यों खतरा लगेगा, विद्यार्थियों को सब विचार जानने का अधिकार है, फिर विद्यार्थी जज करेंगे कि कौन सा चीज है उनके लिए ठीक है। जब तक आप राष्ट्र के हित में सोच रहे हैं तो आप कोई भी विचारधारा फैला रहे हैं, उससे उनको कोई दिक्कत नहीं तो मतलब राधा कृष्णन को करके आते हैं एज वाइस चांसलर ऑफ द यूनिवर्सिटी, और कई सारे स्कॉलर्स हैं, एम विश्वेश्वरैया, कई सारे स्कॉलर्स हैं, टॉप साइंटिस्ट्स ऑफ द कंट्री एट दैट टाइम। वो संकुचित विचार से बिल्कुल नहीं हो सकता है, बहुत वृहत विचार से ही हो सकता है। मालवीय एक वृहत विचार के अंतर्गत सोच रहे थे, क्योंकि हिंदू धर्म से थे, सनातन धर्म से थे, तो उनको लगा कि हमारा यह कर्तव्य भी है कि हम हिंदू धर्म का, इस संप्रदाय का, सनातन धर्म का की उन्नति करें, उसका उद्धार करें।
Okay. Now it's time to wind up. But before winding up, I also want to raise a concern.
Yes.
That yes, sir. That every leader is a product of his or her circumstance, and we see that though in case of Malviya, it is you gave multiple examples that he was closer to Mahatma Gandhi. He took all positions like a secular leader. But I think that there were many organizations, there were many groups. They were campaigning in the name of religion, and they were also spreading hatred at the same time. So how did Malviya respond to? And if Malviya responded, that you also quoted that जिनको धर्म की समझ नहीं है, धर्म के नाम पर वही उन्माद फैलाते हैं. So this is accepted that Malviya always took position of a pure religious person, like we can say religious humanist, that he took that position and he never supported hatred. But how did he counter the growth of communal forces in our country before independence? Because we know that we got partition in 1947. So was it the failure of leaders like Madan Mohan Malviya? So this I want to ask.
देखिए, आप देखिए 1909, 1916, 1920, 1932 मालवीय ने पृथक विधायिका का भरपूर विरोध किया, और उन्होंने बोला इस समय में कि जब पृथक विधायिका आप इंट्रोड्यूस करें, अभी तो आपको नहीं पता चलेगा, आने वाला समय बताएगा। और 1932 में जब वह यूनिटी कॉन्फ्रेंस कर रहे हैं इलाहाबाद में, एंड वेयर a large number of Muslim leaders are also present, and he is successful also. राजेंद्र प्रसाद अपने ऑटोबायोग्राफी में लिखते हैं इस कॉन्फ्रेंस के बारे में, यदि राजेंद्र प्रसाद की ऑटोबायोग्राफी पढ़िएगा, he writes in detail about this unity conference. और उस कॉन्फ्रेंस में बार बार यही हैमर किया जा रहा है कि संयुक्त विधायिका हो, everybody should be eligible to vote, and he is approaching that question from a secular perspective also, कि यदि किसी कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंसी में मुसलमान भी है, हिंदू है, तो हिंदुओं को क्यों अधिकार नहीं होगा कि वो अपने प्रतिनिधि को चुने? उनको भी अधिकार होना चाहिए अपने प्रतिनिधि को चुनने का। तो वो आप उसको वो जो रैशनलिस्ट आर्गुमेंट है, उसको वो बार बार प्रीच करते हैं। 1934 में जब अपनी पार्टी बनाते हैं, तो इसी बिंदु पर अपनी पार्टी बनाते हैं, एंड ही वाज एट द पीक ऑफ हिज पॉपुलैरिटी विद इन द कांग्रेस, एंड देन अगेन ही स्प्लिट्स फ्रॉम द कांग्रेस। कांग्रेस पार्लियामेंट्री बोर्ड में है, और वो है एम.ए. अंसारी है, वही दोनों चुनेंगे कांग्रेस के कैंडिडेट को, इतने पावरफुल पोजीशन में है। ही रिजाइंस फ्रॉम द कांग्रेस पार्लियामेंट्री बोर्ड, फॉर्म्स द कांग्रेस नेशनलिस्ट पार्टी, किस प्रश्न पर? सेपरेट इलेक्टोरेट पर। कम्युनल अवार्ड क्या दे रहा था? सेपरेट इलेक्टोरेट दे रहा था। तो इन चीजों को समझना है। लेकिन आप इन सारे परिवेश में, और जैसे आधुनिक इतिहास के विद्यार्थी जानते हैं, जो कॉलोनियल गवर्नमेंट है, जो इंपीरियल गवर्नमेंट है, उसके रोल को आप नजरअंदाज नहीं कर सकते हैं। जो जिन्ना के साथ 1939 के बाद जिन्ना को जिस हिसाब से अपीज किया गया और जिन्ना ने सेपरेट इलेक्टोरेट के अंदर जिस प्रकार से घृणा का वातावरण बनाया, कांग्रेस उसको नहीं काउंटर कर पाई। और 1938 में जब नेहरू ने मुस्लिम मास कांटेक्ट कैंपेन शुरू किया, तो मुशर्रफ हसन लिखते हैं अपने आर्टिकल में कि पहली बार एक नॉन रिलीजियो स्लोगन दिया गया, क्योंकि पहले खिलाफत में तो रिलीजियस सिंबल पर आप यूनाइट करना चाह रहे थे। अब आपने पहली बार 1937 में नॉन रिलीजियस सिंबल पर यूनाइट करने की कोशिश की। सिर्फ 1 साल 1.5 साल के बाद सिर्फ 66,000 इनरोलमेंट हुआ एंड दैट प्रोग्राम वाज अबैंडन्ड। तो कांग्रेस को मुसलमानों का, खास करके जो मुस्लिम मेजॉरिटी प्रोविंसेस हैं, वहां समर्थन मिलना बंद हो गया था। दिस वाज वेरी क्लियर टू गांधी, दिस वाज वेरी क्लियर टू नेहरू, दिस वाज वेरी क्लियर टू पटेल। लेकिन उनको उम्मीद थी कि इस हद तक चीजें नहीं जाएगी कि भारत का विभाजन हो जाएगा। ऑफ कोर्स इनिशियली द डिमांड वाज फॉर ए वीक सेंटर, फॉर मोर रिप्रेजेंटेशन इन द सेंट्रल असेंबली। लेकिन 1945-46 के बाद आपको पता ही है कि चीजें किस तरह से, किसकी जिम्मेदारी है, किसकी जिम्मेदारी नहीं है, यह आज के दिन में बैठ करके कहना बड़ा मुश्किल है। लेकिन इंपीरियल गवर्नमेंट इज डेफिनेटली एट प्ले, इस बात से इनकार नहीं किया जा सकता। नहीं तो शिमला कॉन्फ्रेंस में, शिमला का जब कॉन्फ्रेंस हो रहा है 1945 में, और जहां जिन्ना ने यह वीटो लगा दिया कि वायसराय के एग्जीक्यूटिव काउंसिल में जो भी मुस्लिम सदस्य होंगे वो मुस्लिम लीग के ही नॉमिनी होंगे, जबकि कांग्रेस का अध्यक्षता मौलाना आजाद कर रहे थे। जब वायसराय ने यह शर्त रखी, चलिए ठीक है कांग्रेस का नॉमिनी नहीं होगा, लेकिन एक नॉमिनी आप मुझे दीजिए नॉमिनेट करने का अधिकार। वायसराय कह रहे हैं जिन्ना को कि हमारे एग्जीक्यूटिव काउंसिल में कम से कम एक नॉमिनी ऐसा होगा मुस्लिम जो कि मेरा प्रतिनिधि, जिसको मैं नॉमिनेट करूंगा। इस पर भी जिन्ना अड़ जाते हैं एंड जिन्ना गेट्स द पावर ऑफ वीटो। जिन्ना के अड़ने से पूरा का पूरा शिमला समझौता खत्म हो जाता है, शिमला कॉन्फ्रेंस खत्म हो जाता है। इसको आप कैसे कहेंगे, कैसे डिफाइन करेंगे? पटेल ने यह बोला 1946 में कि यदि आप मुझे एक हफ्ता इंग्लैंड का प्राइम मिनिस्टर बना देंगे तो मैं इंग्लैंड में इतने डिफरेंसेस क्रिएट कर दूंगा कि सालों साल आप ठीक नहीं कर पाएंगे। एंड ही वाज वेरी मच राइट, एटलीस्ट इन ए लिमिटेड सेंस।
Okay, so thank you, sir. It was really one very informative talk, sir. We have learnt a lot, and it has generated like new thoughts, new inspiration to follow religion in a pure way, and don't impose your identity on any other community. So with this, I say, sir, thank you very much. Throughout the talk, you were so energetic. No, this is very impressive for us also. Like as a young student of history, we are learning a lot, and the way you delivered, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
We had discussions on important issues that affect our past, and so we celebrate the 75 years of India's independence. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Thank you so much, Dr. Bhuvan. It's really filled with facts.
Thank you, sir.
I'm so happy to listen to you. Excellent.
Thank you.